Today we're going to talk to you about the 4 reasons that we store food and tell you how much food exactly is in our food store. What you guys got?
Look, one. That one's gonna be a big one.
Wow, look at all those figs.
After the frost.
They're like, I think they're ripened kind of by the frost. I've never seen that.
Then when we came down here, they looked kind of dead.
You want to give this to your mom?
I said, did you see this? What is going on? This is the weirdest winter ever.
Where all those
Figs. Figs are glorious. We're down here cleaning the camper. You know, when we moved out, we just moved out and then kind of left it how it was. So we're down here just getting it organized, getting it cleaned back up.
So the first and maybe obvious reason we store food is for security. This is not based on some crazy fear that the world is going to end. I feel like it's just matching the prudence that thousands of generations have practiced, which is every single year they put up food. So we're not operating out of fear or terror. It's actually, we're choosing to live in a way that matches history and is actually us operating in confidence.
That's a good way to put it.
And so yes, we are preparing for everything to fall apart. Not that we think it's gonna just happen tomorrow, but we're not doing it, we're not fringe. This is the thing that a lot of people think preppers are fringe. No, actually, preppers are just practicing the tradition of human history, which is you put some food aside. You don't depend on the grocery store always being stocked.
Yeah, are we preppers now?
We're preppers now.
I've never considered myself a prepper.
And current events have influenced decisions we made.
Yeah, I think what it has done is sped up things that we were planning to do.
Exactly.
I am just shopping out of our food storage. I love this system of storing food, buying ahead, buying in bulk, because it means I don't have to go to the grocery store very often, you know, accompanied with growing your own food. So both those things working together is a blessing. So I came down here to get some bread, some cheese, and some butter. And I know you guys are like, you have a cow, make it yourself, but I'm just not in that place in my life right now, but one day. So yeah, that's a big goal, but I'm just not quite there yet. This is one of my freezers that I shop out of. This one has some store-bought things in it, some store-bought fruit in it, and then this is all that are all from the farm. So what I do is I actually plan our meals like a week, 2 weeks ahead, and then since we're not living here on the farm right now, we're living up the hill at a rental house, I plan the meals a week or 2 ahead, and then I come down here and I shop out of my freezers. So this is my tomato freezer right now. I obviously have a big canning project ahead of me. It was really overwhelming to me to can in the camper this summer, so I'm excited to get those put up. This is our beef freezer. This should last us a good while, probably a year. It's probably a good year's worth of meat, and we have, of course, another steer coming on that we'll butcher, and then it's always constantly replacing itself. This is our chicken freezer. It obviously needs to be defrosted. And then I have a whole bunch of fat in there from animals that we have butchered in the last year that I will render down and get into some jars. This is our pork freezer. This is starting to run a little low. We obviously still have tons of pork, but we have 2 hogs that we'll be butchering after Christmas, so it's gonna get replaced pretty soon. There you go.
You don't do this enough.
Sit in the sun.
Sit in the sun on a hay bale and listen to goats eat.
Hey, stop playing in your food. Get off your food. You're not allowed to play in the food. Talk about playing with your food.
Go back and turn the lights on. It's been a while since I've gone to the back pasture and just sat there and looked at the view and enjoyed the sound of the animals eating and the creek trickling. That was peaceful. The other thing I'm working on today is moving our dry food storage up to our rental house. These are 5-gallon buckets. These are Gamma Seal lids. These things are awesome because they're really easy. You don't need a tool to get the lids open. And then I also I bought Mylar bags and some oxygen absorbers. So I'm excited to get all of my food kind of better set up there.
We're walking up, done with chores, done getting that food, walking back up to the rental house. The second reason we store food is because you can save money by storing food. The reason for this is that when you buy in bulk, you can get a lot more food than you can just in a weekly trip to the grocery store.
Yes, it is drastically less expensive. Probably in a future video we'll run some numbers for you, but there's a drastic difference in price to buy 25, 50 pounds of something versus 1 pound. You may buy in bulk from your grocery store, but that is actually, the price has still been inflated there. So yes, when you buy in bulk at the grocery, you're still saving money than buying it off the shelf in like a plastic bag or something. But when you buy the bulk product directly from the bulk supplier, you're cutting out the grocery store, so you save even more money.
And you're purchasing from like a warehousing operation. They have lower overheads. We actually buy through Azure Standard a lot of our bulk foods. We'll cut to our most recent Azure Standard pickup.
Thank you.
And here you go, there's an egg. And there's a fig. What is that?
Not local food.
Tamales. Not survival food. Yeah, this is part of my Azure order.
Why do you buy food from Azure?
Well, I can get bulk, and I also can get groceries. So that's why it makes it easier. I don't have to go to the grocery store hardly at all, between the food that we have put up and then some things that are just nice to have.
Ginger. More hot peppers? What are you doing with those?
I'm gonna ferment them. You're gonna ferment them.
I'm gonna ferment. You didn't get enough, huh, from our garden?
Well, because these are jalapenos. Yeah. I want fermented jalapenos. You made hot sauce. You made hot sauce with all the peppers. Cheese, cornmeal, cranberry sauce. I mean, this is just groceries right here.
Oh, and most of this down here is actually apples. Why did you buy
200
apples?
200 pounds. Well, because Arthur's grandma's orchard, where we would usually pick, did not have a good year because we had a really late freeze and all the blossoms froze, so there weren't very many apples. So I had to buy apples this year, and I was able to get these organic apples for $1 a pound, which there's not even organic apples anywhere locally within 100, 200 miles. I could not find any. Definitely not for $1 a pound. If you think it sounds crazy to have your groceries shipped across the country to you, I would say think again, because actually all the food you buy in the grocery store is actually shipped across country in a freight truck, just like this food. What Azure has done is eliminate the grocery stores. So you basically go to the side of the road. So say if you lived in Houston, Texas, like I'll show you, here's all the drops around Houston, Texas. So you just go to their website and like find a drop near me, or if you lived in Orlando, Florida, here's all the drops around Orlando, Florida. Yeah. And you can see them, and it's just, they have like coverage for everywhere but New England. Bummer. Muddy baby.
Bigger.
Here, jump up. We promote them because we love them and actually are really enjoying using them. We are affiliates, I guess technically not affiliates, but we get a little credit for every new customer who spends $100.
Okay. Now watch how big his muscles are. Watch.
Whoa.
What's that?
Rice. Oxygen absorbers. And I need to look and see how many of these go in a 5-gallon Mylar bag, because I can't remember. Most of our food is food that we'll eat within a year. But my hope is to just keep adding to that so that we have multiple years of food storage. These are Mylar bags.
Okay.
And they're nice because they have like a Ziploc here.
The poly food buckets are not truly impermeable. So no matter how well they're sealed, if you use dry ice or oxygen absorbers to get the oxygen out, and the oxygen is what contributes and allows the slow breakdown of food. Even if you use one of those techniques with just a bucket, the oxygen is still going to come back through the bucket, through the gasket, around the gasket, and through the material of the bucket. The Mylar is essentially impermeable though, and it's kind of the gold standard for storing food at home like this. Justice, Brighton, take the metal bucket, go to the creek and fill it up with grit-sized rock. Some chore mornings we're just going for speed. Other mornings like this morning are kind of tune-up mornings. We make sure everything is perfect and go kind of a step beyond chores. Oh, and I'm gonna give the chickens fresh bedding in their outdoor run because when you don't have a covered area, it gets really nasty fast. Okay, that's the chickens, chores, plus a little bit. My camera is moving. The third reason that we buy bulk is very much linked to the last one, budget. It's the convenience of actually having these bulk foods. And you have some bulk food, it really cuts down the number of trips you have to make to the store.
Yeah, I would even say that technically we don't have to go to the store. I just do because I like convenience foods and I like having variety, but ultimately I only have to go to the store, like really have to go maybe once a month. So that is amazing. It saves fuel, it saves my time, it saves the annoyance of grocery shopping. It's nice to not have to go to the store. It's nice to literally just run down to my food storage, grab some steak, grab some broccoli, grab some potatoes, grab some onions. I do like having beans and grains around. Well, one, grains fill my children's hollow legs. So I like having those around. And then also I like having beans around because I like stretching our meat, so we do not eat meat every day. So we'll have lentils usually once a week, beans once a week, something like that. It may seem like this is complicated, but in the end it actually simplifies your life, which is a huge convenience in the era of crazy busyness that we all exist in.
I love that. It just cuts down on that question. Wait a second, are we out of this? Are we out of that?
Yeah.
Which is just a pain in the butt when you're trying to cook a meal and you're like, wait a second, we're out of this.
I love rice.
You love rice and you're eating it plain.
I love it.
You love it.
So I remember now after looking at my order that I specifically bought ones for 5-gallon bucket size. I tend to be a hands-on learner. I can learn so much from videos and things and books, but I find that finding people who know more than you and are already doing what you want to be doing and then going and learning from them is one of the best ways to learn something for me. Got it. And now, if you need some rice, you just open this up, open this part.
So what we're currently working on is actually building up a 1-year supply of food, just as we go.
We have that.
We have a year.
We have a year.
With that 1-year supply of food, it's not just like something we stick away and never look at. We're actually eating. These are the things that we actually eat. So we're benefiting from buying in bulk because you can get a ton of food for a really reasonable price. Okay, next we're gonna just do a little ungrounding job on the fences. The wire touches the ground, you can hear it's either hot or it's not. And it's not. This will be a 2-part process. First step is just buzz along, get all the grass off of it. That's not really the problem. And then we'll go back in the back pasture and just make sure all the wire's off the ground. That metal to metal contact, that'll ground out the whole thing. Coming through. No wonder this fence wasn't hot. A broken insulator, wow. Okay, that should be it. Let's see how it sounds. That's more like it. That's what you want to hear. The last reason we store food, closely linked to the first, is charity. And that is charity now in that we have an abundance here to give. If we wanted to cook a meal or cook meals for like 100 people, we could do it without even going to the store. We could make a big basic meal for 100 people, but also thinking into the future along the lines of security. If things do go downhill at any point in the future with the economy or anything, we don't want to be in a position where we are forced to be selfish with the people in our close neighborhood or in our family.
I find that one of my most beloved parts of raising our own food is that we have so much to give away. And you know, not just to people in need, but just to bless people, whether they need it or not. homegrown food is a lovely thing, and for a lot of people to go to a local farmer's market and buy grass-raised meats, organic vegetables is very expensive.
Yeah.
And so for us to be able to just bless people with that is such, it fills me with such joy. But on top of that, like you said, the more long-term vision of if something did happen, I like the idea that we could possibly help take care of our neighborhood.
We have a long way to go on our food.
We have a long way to go, yeah. But I mean, I even imagine it as like we don't have enough land to raise enough animals for the whole neighborhood, but the neighbors all have land. They just don't use it to farm. But we would have stock that we could breed, multiply, raise, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of how I think of it. And definitely in our store food, we don't have enough yet to, but we will.
Okay, that's kind of the why. The what is we're basically just slowly building up our food store in a reasonable way. We're not storing crazy stuff, we're storing stuff that we eat.
So I have a lot to learn about food storage, but I did find some websites that help me understand what poundage of what product would fit in what size Mylar bag and buckets. And I found that most things that were 25-pound bags would fit in a 5-gallon bucket. We have more boxes for storing potatoes.
Here's a bunch of garlic. Here's a bunch of salt. Salt is one of those things, though, that's really a resource you can't just get unless you live along the coast. So it's something that I feel like is a core of like a long-term food storage. I've always had a bucket or two of salt set aside, even just cheap salt from the grocery store, just with the thought, hey, if the freezers go down, I could at least salvage all the pork relatively easily. That's not how I want to eat pork. So like I'm glad we have our pork in the freezer because truly salt-cured meat is very salty. Yes. And you can survive off of it. You can enjoy it. But it's not how I want to preserve the bulk of our food. Speaking of pork, we're having pork chops tonight. Are these not gorgeous? Look at how thick they are. Thick cut. They are pink. But anyway, the point being that tonight our meal, and a lot of days we have 1 or 2 meals that are completely from our farm. Let's take a look at the food we have stored up at the rental house we're staying in. I don't have everything stored perfectly yet. I'm still trying to figure out my systems in here. So I have a lot of onions. I don't know how many I have left, but I harvested around 400, and sometimes they rot as time goes on, but I have a significant number left for the rest of the year. I don't know if this will be food storage or not because we eat a lot of popcorn. This is a bag of sugar, which I'm starting to get into storing that. We have honey usually to last the year from Arthur's parents' bees, but looking into more long-term food storage, I am going to start order 60-pound buckets of it. I have 25 pounds of oats here, but I have another 25-pound bucket full. Here we have part of the food storage that we grew this year. Part of it is down at our farm. And this is our winter squash. What I would like to do in the future, if we have a bad winter squash harvest, because we had a bad harvest this year, what I'd like to do in the future is buy that from some local farmers. These are all our sweet potatoes this year, and actually, we don't have these stored properly, so they are just packed in these boxes. But once I store them properly, we'll have probably 3 times this amount. Here we have a couple 100 pounds of potatoes, just regular white Kennebec potatoes stored. We have some ferments up here. We have our hot sauce going. We have maybe 12 to 14 or more gallons of, I haven't counted lately, I don't know how much we've eaten, but a lot of gallons of sauerkraut down at the farm that needs to come up here. And then we've also got this crock of sauerkraut going. Here we have a huge variety of things. Most of this is our year-long storage, but a couple of these we're getting into the more, the longer goal of the 5-year storage. But most of these, they're all beans, rice, wheat berries, lentils, basically legumes and grains. All of these grains, coupled with our produce, coupled with what we still have growing in our garden, so all of our fresh things, we're still getting a lot of greens and salad from our garden and herbs. The meat that we have stored, we have more than enough food for a year right now. So hopefully by next year, because we will have our root cellar done, and we'll also have storage under our house, so we're gonna have our root cellar in the ground, storage under our house, there'll be a lot more variety.
we couldn't store, well, maybe we could have, but with what's going on with our house, we just felt really overwhelmed trying to grow another batch of fall produce, like turnips, beets, cabbages, rutabaga, all that kind of stuff. So we don't have a lot of that, but if we had done that, we would have much more variety and it would be super lovely to have. The one thing I am ordering this time from Azure is a bunch of carrots because I would like to practice storing carrots. Carrots are an incredible vegetable. You can grow a crop in the spring to harvest in the summer, and then you can grow a crop in the fall or late summer to harvest in the fall, and then those fall carrots will be your winter crop. And that's another thing. For those of you that do not grow your own food, grow your own meat, you don't have to wait to learn how to can, to learn how to store winter squash, to learn how to store potatoes, to learn how to store carrots. Like, you don't have to wait. You can go ahead and start practicing storing those things. You can buy bulk. You can go ahead and can. You can learn fermenting. And then, of course, the grains and stuff is simple. You just, using the appropriate things like Mylar bags, oxygen absorbers, buckets, you can go ahead and get your storage system going. So anyway, I just hope this encourages you as we're diving into more knowledge of food storage. I hope this will encourage you guys to do the same. For those of you that are already just super deep into this, if you want to leave resources in the comments, that would be helpful to us. It would also be helpful to our viewers, and we'd love to hear what you guys are already doing and where you're learning those skills and getting those resources.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. We'll see you in a video really soon. Goodbye.
People have been saying, like, they miss us saying it's another great day on the homestead.
Oh, it's been another great day on the homestead. Bye.
Bye.